We are kicking off a 1 week 1 palette with the Huda Beauty Icy Nude. I have used this baby about 4 times at this point, and I'm not gonna lie, all 4 times I have struggled with it. So I'm gonna be completely transparent with you guys. I'm not the most excited for this video to create these 5 looks, but I'm really hoping that after creating these 5 looks, I will change my mind on this palette and I will like it a lot more. We shall see, we shall see. So let's go ahead and kick off a day 1. We're gonna stick with a little bit more of a icy matte sort of look. I don't know, we'll see how it turns out. In my head it looks cute. Hopefully I can make it look as good in real life. So we're gonna start off with this shade right here called Oneself, and we're gonna pop that into the crease with a rougher 15. This is supposed to be a really light shade, which is fine. That's kind of the vibe I'm going for today. I don't want anything too dark. Other side as well. Yeah, this is like barely showing up. Maybe if I just keep building. Okay, I have about like 4 layers of that shadow on both of my eyes, and it's like barely showing up, so that's interesting. We are next going to dip into this Poise shade right here. I'm going to keep that on the outer corner, and I will put it up into the crease a little bit. Okay, this shade is doing what I wanted it to do. The last shade was not really showing up, but this one's performing pretty well, nicely. I am having to still build it like the last shade, but it is building better. Ooh, yeah, okay, I actually really like this Poise shade. It's a really pretty gray. I did go ahead and prime my eyes with my Rare Beauty eye primer before starting, just to let you know. Next, I want to take this Avalanche shade, the white one right here. I remember this being pretty pigmented, which I'm hoping for. The last brush I used was a Rephr 13, and then this one we're going to take a Morphe M456. We'll see if it works out. I might need a denser brush, but we're going to put that on the inner portion of my eye. Okay, that's working out. Let me pack some on with my finger, maybe, see if I can get it more. There we go, okay. More pigmentation. I wanted it to be like whiter and brighter. Packing it on with my finger is definitely helping that out. Same thing on the other side. I'm going to start with the brush. I like to do the same steps. Finger. Okay, this white is beautiful. It is like really pigmented, showing up on my eye. It's packing more of a punch than I feel like other whites I've used in the past, which I do. I do like that a lot. That Avalanche shade is really pretty. We're going to go back with a little bit of that Poised, just to reinforce it. Make sure there's a nice blend on the middle of my eye here. I like this. I'm trying to decide if I want to add like a winged liner, like with shadow. I don't love a shadow wing liner on me. I feel like I never can get the point correctly. It always ends up like too thick, but I might try it. I always want to like buff and blend them out and make them diffused and pretty like I see a bunch of other girlies doing, and it never works out for me. So we're gonna try it. So we're gonna take this She Rich shade right here and just do a little line along my lash line at first, just to define the lash line a little bit. I have been liking doing this step. Helps define my eyes better once I put mascara on later. Then we're gonna take a little bit of that shadow, bring it up. Same thing on the other side, bring it up a little bit. Make a little baby wing. I don't want a big wing. Okay, I think we're gonna leave it there for now. I think that's fine. I think maybe once I put like some concealer on, I can sharpen it up a little bit. Okay, I think I'm gonna go ahead and stop. I feel like if I keep finagling with it, I will make it worse. I think I like this. This was what I was envisioning. This is the look I was going for, just a really like light icy all matte. Well, I guess it's not really icy, but with the white on the lid and like not a super deep outer corner. This was what I was going for. So I do like it. It's not like my favorite look I've ever made, but I think I'll like it more once the rest of my makeup is on. If you are new to my 1 week 1 palettes, I'm gonna go ahead and have my playlist linked down below for you to check out. If these are your jam, you like these type of videos, I have done quite a few at this point on quite a few different palettes. So I'll have that link down below if you want to check it out. But I go ahead and go off camera, do the rest of my makeup. I'll come back on, tell you how I finished up the like lower lash line and the inner corner and all that. My plan though is to use this really pretty iced out shade as the inner corner and add some sparkle to this all matte look on the inner corner. So I'm hoping that ends up looking really cute. And then I also go ahead and tell you what blush and lip products I use, because I feel like those are the ones that people would be the most interested in. But the rest of my makeup is listed by day down below in the description box. Everything else that I use on every other day is going to be listed below. Not linked. I don't have enough room in the description box to link it all, but it will be listed for you in case you're curious about anything else on my face. So let me go ahead and finish up my makeup and I'll be right back. And here's the completed look for day 1 for you guys. I think I like it. I don't really know. I mean, it's pretty. I do like it. It's just not like my favorite look I've ever made in my whole entire life. I did go ahead and just mix together that Poise shade along with this Oneself shade as my lower lash line, and then I did use that ice out shade on my inner corner. I don't love it. It just has like a blue shift I wasn't anticipating. I mean, it's a really pretty shade. I think all over the lid when I'm in the mood and I'm like knowing it's gonna be blue, I will like it a lot more, but it is really icy and pretty and sparkly. I did go ahead and use some glitter primer on it to make sure it like adheres, and I still am having a tiny bit of fallout. So that's a little annoying, but what can you do? For blush, I went ahead and used my Nudestix Nudies all over face color in the shade Bareback. And then for lips, I went ahead and used my Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Fair lip liner and lined my lips, and then topped it with the Pillow Talk Fair lipstick. I like never use this combination. It's pretty though. I probably should use it more often. Overall, I feel like this was a pretty good start to using this palette. I do like this look. I think it's pretty. The plan is to film another video after this. That should be up first, my best and worst makeup that I tried in 2024. And I don't foresee myself like taking this off, redoing my makeup. Like I'll have that makeup look on in that video if I'm able to film it in a little bit later today. I guess I'm just still on the fence. I'm not convinced yet with this palette, you know what I mean? But let's go ahead and move on to day 2 and see what I can create.
Alrighty, before we move on to day 2's look, I did want to kind of give you an update about the first day's look. I'll pop up a picture so you can see, but it essentially just completely faded away throughout the day. You can see in the picture, the white is completely gone. The wing is essentially gone. There's a tiny bit left, and even the gray in the crease had also sort of faded away. The only thing that was still popping and blinking was my inner corner highlight. So that is a little bit unfortunate because Huda is a expensive brand. Like this palette was very expensive. She's also a brand that's pretty well known for her eyeshadow palettes. So the fact that that happened was a pretty large disappointment in my eyes. However, I will be completely transparent with you guys. I still like how it looked. I thought the look still looked very pretty. It looked just like a really soft gray eye look on me. It looked completely different from the eye look that I started off with. However, I did think that it faded gracefully, and I still did like how the eye look looked. It just was nothing like what I started with, and it really did fade off. So just kind of wanted to let you know about that. For today, for day 2, Mike and I have a date night planned for tonight. It started snowing a little bit ago, so we'll see if we actually end up going out to it. It's about 2:11 when I'm starting to film this right now, so we're not going out for a couple hours, so we'll see if the snow keeps falling, if it stops. As of right now, we do have plans to have a date night, so I do want to go like a little bit more dramatic. I'm not going to wear this top. I think I might wear like an all black outfit. We'll see if I end up doing that. So because of that, I do want to go a little bit more dramatic. So we're going to start off with this Poise shade, and I went ahead and primed my eyes with the Ulta Beauty Matte Veil Longwear Eye Primer. My eyelids have gotten oily recently, over the past like year or so, and the Rare Beauty eye primer that I've been using, first of all, it's almost gone, so that's nice, but it's just kind of like not cutting it anymore for like a long time eyeshadow wear, like more than a couple hours. So I picked this one up because I've heard good things. I like it so far. I've been using it off camera for a couple weeks now, and I think I like it. We're gonna take that Poise shade on a rougher 27 and start by blending that into the crease. I really like this shade. I think it's pretty. If you see sparkles on this eye already, it's because I was trying to figure out what eye look I was going to do, and I swatched the shimmer I think I'm going to use, and I guess I accidentally still had some on my finger when I was blending in my eye primer. So we just got a base layer of sparkles today, which is fine. We're just gonna add more anyways. All right, this is getting pretty patchy on my eyelid, if you can see. A lot of shadows get patchy on me, but usually not out here on the outer corner. It's usually like the inner corner right here where it is getting patchy, but like it looks kind of bad out here as well. I don't know if you guys can see that. I hope you can. We're gonna take that same shade on a rougher 14 and start packing it on the outer corner, fluffing it into the crease as well, just to kind of deepen it a little bit. And then on that same brush, we're going to take that She Rich shade right here and start deepening the outer corner even more. Bringing that up into the crease. I'm going to kind of like look straight ahead so I can bring it up to where you'll be able to still see it when my eyes are open. I'm not really good about doing that. So a lot of the times the shadows I put in my crease kind of disappear, like when I look straight ahead. It's just a technique I need to continue to work on and remember to do. I actually just don't really remember to do it. Not that it really matters because I feel like my shimmer ends up covering it up anyways, but that's okay. It makes me feel better I'm doing it. Okay, this is looking like a hot mess express, like out here, but we're gonna fix it. We're gonna keep working on it. With a fluffy rougher 16, I'm gonna take this One Self shade right here, and we're gonna use that to blend all around the edges because they were looking pretty harsh. I don't know. You guys, I'm really trying to have an open mind and go in with these 5 looks with an open mind because I just am not loving this palette so far. So we'll see. Okay, the shimmer I'm going to put on my eyelid, I'm kind of terrified to use. I'm going to be completely honest. I want to try to use this Diamond Dew shade, but it is so chunky and thick. I'm kind of terrified to put it on my eye. I think it's just going to rain glitter all over my face throughout the day. I'm really hoping that that is not the case, and we are going to use glitter primer because this is a shade that you absolutely could not use, I feel like, without any sort of tacky base, whether that be glitter primer, using like water to wet your brush, or some sort of setting spray. Like, you need something for this sort of shadow to cling to, because it is like, I barely rubbed my finger in it, and if you can see, I don't know if you can, just how like chunky it is. I'm kind of scared to put this on my eye, but we're going to do it anyways. We're going to press so it doesn't become too thick on my eyelid and it really adheres to that glitter glue. Okay, but that is like stunning. It does look a little thick and chunky on my eyelid. I will tell you guys the truth there. I am not really into, I know I've said this like 100,000 times, you probably are like, I'm like, we get it. I'm not really into these kind of glitter shades. Honestly, I was never really into these super chunky shades, but I'm just not into this intense shimmer anymore. It's in the palette. We're going on a date night. Why not? That's like real intense. You see it? I mean, yes, obviously you see it, but I feel like I just took aluminum foil and put it on my eyelids, but like thick, chunky aluminum foil, you know? So you guys know the drill. I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my makeup, come back and show you the finished look. I'll be right back. And here is the final look for day 2 for you guys. Let me get nice and close so you can see. What do you think? Okay, from far away, I like it. I think it's pretty. However, I am not loving this Diamond Dew shade, unfortunately. It is, first of all, it's just too intense for me personally, but that is a personal preference. You might be looking at the shade and thinking it's the most stunning thing you've ever seen, and it is stunning and beautiful. It's just very, very intense. Also, it is so thick and chunky. That's the main thing I don't like about this. Even using glitter primer and doing my eyes first, I still have glitter all over my face. I'm constantly wiping it away. There's glitter on my shirt, on my pants somehow, like there's glitter everywhere. So that is a little bit of a bummer. It's beautiful. I like how it aesthetically looks, but it's just too intense, and it is just raining glitter down on my face like I kind of thought I was going to. Unfortunately, to finish up my lower lash line, all I did was mix together the One Self shade with that Poise shade, mainly Poise though. To finish up my cheeks, the blush I used was the Kosas Blushes Life blush in the shade Dreamland. I thought it would bring a nice little rosiness to this more cool toned look. And then my lips was a Colourpop duo. I used an oldie but a goodie. This is the Colourpop Cool BFF lip liner. I used to be obsessed with this lip liner a couple years ago, and I hadn't used it in a long time. I aligned my lips and kind of like drew them in a little bit, and then the like pretty gloss you're seeing is from Colourpop and Frosty, their collaboration they did. This is their So Juicy Plumping Gloss Bomb in the shade Frozen. It gave like a little pinky hue to my lips. So like, I'm liking how this look turned out. I think it's pretty. I'm gonna rock this for our date night. It's just like, I feel like I have a disco ball, like 2 disco balls on my eyes. I don't know how to explain it. I'm also gonna have to change out my gold jewelry to silver jewelry to match a little bit. Not that you can't mix metals, but you know what I mean. All right, that's kind of all I have to say for day 2. So let's go ahead and move on to day 3. For the third eye look, we're going to reach into the more pinky tones of this palette and try to show that side of the palette off. So we're going to start off with this High Life shade right here. Put that into my crease. I like the undertone of this one. It's more of like a cool tone purpley sort of shade. I like it a lot. And then I think this Lavish shade is going to be a little bit darker, so we're going to also throw that in the crease. With more precise of a brush. Is that doing anything? I think it might be deepening it a tiny smidge, but not a whole lot, guys. Yeah, those two look pretty similar on the eyes, but next we're going to put glitter primer all over my lid, and we're going to take this Aurora shade right here and also place that all over my lid. We're going with a real basic eye look today. I do remember this being very thick, and in my first review video, I accidentally applied too much, and it was like looking so thick and chunky on my eyelid. So I'm going to be really careful to like lightly rub my finger in and lightly put on a thin layer of this. Yeah, I'm like actively trying to put a thin layer on, and it's still looking pretty thick on my eye. It's beautiful, don't get me wrong, this shade is stunning, but if you look up close, it just looks really thick and like heavy on the eyelid, even though I was trying to have that not happen. Regardless of that, the shade is beautiful. You can't deny that. Same thing on this eye, you know the drill. Okay, it's looking a little bit thinner on this eye, and I feel like I applied the same amount. I don't know. Not thin in a bad way, just like not as like thick and heavy on my eyelid. And I literally feel like I applied the same amount. I put the same amount of pressure. I dipped in twice on both eyes with my finger. So I don't know. Ooh, but look at that. That's really pretty. Lastly, just to like finish up the eye and make sure it's all blended up into the crease, we're going to take this light pink IDGAF shade on that same first brush we used. We're just going to lightly dust it. It's not really going to do a whole lot. I just want to make sure it's all blended up here. Yeah, that's like not really showing up, but it is doing exactly what I wanted it to. And blending it out. So there are sparkles kind of all over my face already. There's like falling down on my face. They're like up into the crease, which I'm fine with that. I wasn't too careful when I was placing the shimmer down. I let it go up into the crease, and it naturally goes up into the crease as the day goes on anyways, because I have hooded eyes, as you can see. So I did just want to note that there's kind of glitter everywhere if that bothers you. So I'm going to finish my makeup. I'll be right back. And here is the final look for day 3 for you guys. Let me get nice and close so you can see. This is definitely my favorite of the 3 eye looks so far. It's the one I feel most comfortable in, the one that's the most me. The Sparkle Aurora shade is still pretty intense for my liking, but it is beautiful. I actually really like how it turned out in the end. To finish up my lower lash line, all I did was run Lavish shade along there. I will say I did not like that these 2 shades looked very similar on my eyes. I swatched them, and when you swatch them next to each other, they look different when they're kind of looking the same on camera right now. But when I swatched them earlier, that High Life shade does have a little bit more of a gray undertone, and the Lavish shade does have a little bit more of like a mauvey pink sort of undertone. But they are very, very similar. We probably did not need both of them in the palette. And then you saw on my eyes when I applied them, you couldn't really tell the difference between the 2 at all. So that's a little bit of a bummer. But again, this Aurora shade is really pretty. And then for my inner corner highlight, I just mixed the pink and the white shade on my Dior quad. I use this all the time. I'm obsessed with this highlight quad. Oh my gosh, you guys don't even understand. For blush, I went ahead and used the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer Blush in Provence as my cream blush. And then I did tap an oldie but a goodie on top, the Hourglass Mood Exposure blush. I haven't used this in a long time, but this blush is stunning, and I love the way just Hourglass powders look on the skin. And then for lips, I used my Pillow Talk Fair lip liner. I lined my lips and then filled it in with the Pillow Talk Fair lipstick. And then this is not usually something I talk about, but I have to talk about it right now. The Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder. I've used this stuff for years, so like I know how good this powder is, but I used it for the first time in a long time the other day, and by the end of the day, my makeup was just still stunning. It looked absolutely perfect, so I used it again today. And if you need a good powder that's not going to break the bank, that's not too thick and heavy and cakey, not too drying, blurs the skin, sets your face down nicely, this has been around forever, so chances are you might have tried it already. But if you have not and you need like a push, or you've been looking for a good powder, this is such a good powder. I have the shade 05 Fair. They do have a lot of different shade options in case you are not the shade of a piece of paper like I am. So yeah, I just wanted to give that powder a shout out because it's so good. So overall, I'm still not super impressed with the palette. This is my favorite look, like I said. We still have 2 more looks to do to help push me to fall in love with this palette, but I don't know if it's gonna happen, you guys. I don't know. So let's go ahead and move on to day 4. Okay, for today's look, we're going to attempt to show off the little bit of warmer side of this palette. There's not very many shades that are warmer, which is fine, but we're going to try our best to show them off. We're going to start off with this shade right here, which is called Cold Plunge. I'm pretty sure I've used this as a transition shade before in another video. I think my first review video on this palette, and if I remember correctly, it did not show up on my eyes. So if that happens, which I think it's going to, we're then going to move down to this first class shade. So we're going to start with Cold Plunge. Do another layer. Yeah, that's like not showing up on my eye at all. These kind of shades that are super light that don't really show up, I still appreciate them in palettes only because you can use them to blend out like a darker shade. So I don't totally think it's unnecessary, but I do wish it showed up on my eyeball. So we're gonna go into that first class shade. Okay, yeah, that's showing up. Do a second layer. It's got a little hint of orange to it, which I appreciate. I think it's pretty. And I don't think having to build it up 2 layers to get the pigmentation I want is that bad. I'll take it. Okay, next we're going to put glitter primer all over the lid, and I'm going to take this shade right here, which is called Gold Standards. We're also going to take that all over the lid, and then I want to try to do a smoky-ish wing. We'll see how it goes. Those usually don't work out super well for me, but we'll see, and I'm going to do that with this faux fur shade. Glitter primer, and then I'm going to take that Gold Standard shade. This is just more of a standard metallic. It's not going to be super intense and blinding like the VVS shade or the Diamond Dew shade I used on the second day, or even that Aurora shade that I used on the third day. That was pretty intense. This one is a little bit more subdued, still has some sparkle, still like wham bam on your eye, just not as much, you know? I appreciate the undertone of this as well. It's not super gold. I don't love a like really, really gold look like eyeshadow on me. And this is more of a subdue gold, if that makes sense. Even using glitter primer, I feel like it's not sticking to my eyelid very well. Like you can still see, especially along my lash line. You're probably not gonna be able to see on camera, but I can still see my eyelid peeking through. Even though this is a standard metallic, it was a little bit thicker, so I would imagine it would like show up on my eye and like stick to my eye, and my eyelid wouldn't be peeking through. I wouldn't see it, but I still do. So I don't love that. We're gonna forge ahead with that faux fur shade. Try to make a line along my lash line and a wing. This is pulling really, really cool tone on my eyes. It almost looks gray, even though in the pan it is like a dark brown. I almost feel like if I didn't know, I would have guessed I put this She Rich shade on instead of this faux fur shade. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell on camera. The lights, this packaging is just really reflective, so the lights are making it kind of hard, but that faux fur shade really is like a brown, and the She Rich shade is more of like a, well, they look exactly the same when I swatch them. Okay, but in person, I promise you, I feel like it's hard to tell on camera, but this is that faux fur shade and this is that She Rich. And if you can tell, like the faux fur shade is brown and the She Rich, yeah, okay, you can see it in swatch, is like a dark grayish sort of shade, but this showed up almost like this on my eyelid. And I didn't accidentally go into She Rich. I really was using that faux fur shade. Okay, I'm gonna take more of that faux fur shade on like a little pencil brush and just kind of smudge it out, which is making me have a ton of fallout from that Gold Standard shade. I mean, I get it, I'm smudging it, but I did use that glitter primer. Okay. I don't love it. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I'm being really negative this video. Normally on my 1 week 1 palettes, I like the palettes, I like the looks that I made, but I am struggling with this palette. I don't know what it is about this dang palette, but that's the finished look. I'm not gonna finagle with it or mess with it anymore. I feel like if I did that, I would just ruin it. And it looks passable right now. Like it looks okay. It's just more of my experience using the shadows is kind of frustrating. I don't know. But I'm gonna go, you guys know, I'm gonna go finish my makeup. I'll be right back. And here is the final look for day 4 for you guys. Let me get you a little bit closer. Overall, I think this is a pretty look. However, I just feel like my experience creating it was just frustrating. The shimmer not really adhering to my lid, even though I use glitter primer. Also, it's just falling down on my face. I have so much glitter and shimmer on my face right now, even though this isn't one of those like super wham bam intense shimmers from this palette. It's just a normal shimmer, and I usually do not have issues with normal shimmers falling out on my face like this. I don't know. I just don't love it. But looking at it, just giving it a passing glance, it's a pretty look. It's fine. It's passable. Like if I had plans after this, which I don't, but if I did, I wouldn't change my makeup. Like I'd go out in this. I just feel like I have a negative taste in my mouth from this palette. And I can't even like pinpoint it. But anyways, sorry. To finish up the lower lash line, I just ran that First Class shade along there, and then my highlight is the white shade from the Dior Highlight Quad. For blush, I went ahead and used my Fancy Schmancy Givenchy. This is their Prisme Libre blush in the shade 4 Organza Sienna. I thought the orangey tone would match the eye look perfectly, and I do like this matte shade. Like the matte shade I use is really pretty. And then on my lips, it's the Colourpop New Moon collab that they just came out with. I did a whole first impressions, like trying out the whole collection for you guys. If you missed it, I will have it linked for you if you want to check that out. This is the Jacob lip combination, if you watch that video or if you know anything about the collection in general. So the lippy pencil shade is called Hello Biceps. I just lined my lips with it. And then the lipstick shade is called Jake. I'm not completely sold on the brown lip, but some of you guys commented on that video saying that this suited me and it looked good on me, and I feel very out of my comfort zone with this brown lip, but I figured I would try it out with this look, trying to go with like the warm tones and the browns and, you know, all of that. So I like it. It's just out of my comfort zone, you know what I mean? But that is all for day 4. Let's go ahead and wrap it up with day 5. For Christmas, I asked Mike to get me one of those like wavy talk heated curled round brushes. And this is only my second time using it, and I feel like I'm going to end up really liking it when I get the hang of it. Again, this is only my second time using it, and like I'm just still learning how to like curl my hair with a heated round brush, you know? It's definitely a different beast than a wand, which is what I usually curl my hair with. And 2, that's my second point. I have to get used to my hair looking like these kind of curls, like voluminous, not really curls, kind of tousled look, versus the look I get with my wand, which is tighter curls, you know what I mean? So I think I'm gonna really like it. I think I like it now. I feel like it's giving me that like it girl tousled influencer hair, if you will. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I feel like a little self-conscious about it because it's not my norm. Anyways, this is the 5th and final day, guys. This is the last look I'm going to make with the Huda Beauty Icy Nude palette. Last look ever, question mark, because I might donate it or try to sell it or something after this. I don't know. We'll get to my final thoughts after this look. But today I really want the focus and the emphasis to be on this iced out shade right here. Through all the looks that I made with this palette, either in this video or my original like trying video when I like first reviewed it, or like using off camera, I've only ever used this shade once, and it was as an inner corner highlight, I think on the first day. So I want to really give it its time to shine and focus on that shade and put it all over the lid and see how that looks. So we're going to start off with this One Self shade right here, and then we're going to go into this Poise shade. So we're going to start off with that One Self shade. Yeah, this one doesn't show up very much. A little bit. I just want it to be a transition. I put about 2 layers on each eye. Barely showing up. Okay, now we're going to go into that Poise shade. And we're going to also put this into the crease and a little bit higher. I think I might just do 1 layer of this shade. I don't want it to be too dark. I do want a little bit more though. I think I like that. Next, we're going to put glitter primer all over my lid, and then like I said, take that iced out shade. I don't know if it has enough base pigmentation to really use it like this, but we're about to find out, guys. You and me together. All right, we're just going to tap that on. This does have a very strong blue shift, which I don't really prefer. I'm going to try to keep it pretty light layer as well. I don't want it to get too thick on my eye. This doesn't seem like a shadow that would get like thick and chunky on my eye. Put it up into the crease a little bit. Glitter primer. It's definitely having a little bit more of a base than I thought, which I'm pleasantly surprised about. I thought it was going to look more sheer and you were going to see my eyelid kind of peeking through. That's not really the case, which I like. Well, I guess you can see my eyelid peeking through a little bit. And the fact that this is almost shifty, it like looks kind of wonky in the sense that if I'm looking straight on right now, it kind of looks like I don't have anything on this outer corner of my lid, because it's just kind of like a shifty sort of shade. Like there's definitely eyeshadow there, but when I turn my head, it almost looks like there's not. Although that's looking more prevalent on camera than in person. I am seeing that in person where like on the outer corners, when I'm just looking straight ahead, it is kind of hard to see. Like it kind of looks like I don't have eyeshadow on there, but it almost looks more prevalent on camera than in person, which is good. I mean, I'd rather it look better in person than on camera, but okay, a little bit more of those 2 mattes mixed together, that Poised One Self. I'm debating if I want to keep it here or if I want to add a wing with that She Rich shade, the darkest shade in the palette. I almost feel like this is too light and I need some sort of definition on my eyes, but I don't know. I kind of like it, and I already did like a winged out, smoked out wing liner on at least one of the looks, so maybe I'll leave it here for now and see what I look like, see how much I like it when all the rest of my makeup is done and like mascara and stuff. That'll definitely amp it up and make it look a little different. So let's go do that, and then I'll let you know obviously if I decide to add a wing or not. And here is the final look for you guys. I obviously opted to not add a wing, but I actually really do enjoy it. I like how light and airy and kind of more icy it is. Obviously, this iced out shade does pull a little bit on the blue side. For a personal preference, it's not really my favorite type of look. I just don't really like blue eyeshadow. However, I don't think it's a wham bam in your face blue. I think it is still a little bit more wearable of a blue sort of shade, and it is very pretty. This is definitely a shade in the palette that leans on the unique side that not a lot of people may have in their collection, but it's also a shade that a lot of people might not gravitate towards and wear very often. So keep that in mind. To finish up my cheeks, I just use my Hourglass Dragon palette, and then I use this more rosy toned blush right here, which is called Mauve Haze. I did also use this for my bronzer and my highlight. I use the lightest finishing powder, just to let you know. And then for lips, I use my Natasha Denona I Need a Nude lip liner in the shade Natasha, and I just lined my lips with it, and then I topped it with the Colourpop Fresh Kiss Glossy Lip Balm in the shade Strawberry Milk. Not a lot of people saw my first impressions review on this product from Colourpop. It's newer, it launched a couple weeks ago at this point. I'm gonna have a link down below for you in case you want to check it out. These are really, really beautiful on the lips. They are comfortable, they last a long time, and they're kind of dupes for the Summer Fridays lip butter balms. I go ahead and compare them. Obviously not this one because it's like pink versus brown, but I compare them in that video as well, and these are pretty dupey, if I do say so myself. So definitely check that out if you're interested in those. So this palette right here, you guys, okay, I'm sure you could probably tell by my reaction to my looks and how I was talking about this palette the whole time throughout this video. It's definitely not my favorite palette. I still look at it and really enjoy the color story and think it's beautiful, which is why I purchased it in the first place. But I feel like coming up with looks was a little bit of a struggle for me personally. I'm gonna run down through every single shade and tell you why I like it / don't like it. And there's a lot more don't likes than likes. So this iced out shade, it's obviously beautiful, but it pulls blue, so I just don't see myself wearing that very often. This one right here, High Life, looks really similar to Lavish down here. This one is beautiful. Platinum, I used this in my review video if you wanted to see it. I don't think I ended up using it this week. It is a really pretty stunning silver, but again, I don't use silver very often. Unapologetic got patchy on me. Faux fur ended up looking like a really dark gray shade even though it's dark brown. So that's just like a little bit of a disappointment. I want it to look like in the pan how it does on my eyes. This one right here called Gold Standards was just meh. Like, it's nothing special at all. The White Cloud Avalanche is really pretty, but it faded away to absolutely nothing by the end of the day. This Aurora shade, stunning. No notes. Absolutely stunning. PVS is just very, very thick and chunky. Poised, I like this. I don't really have much to say about this. I did like this. She Rich got patchy on me whenever I used it on the outer corner. Cold Plunge barely shows up on my skin. IDGAF barely shows up on my skin. This one right here, Bling, is that more pressed glitter. I'll just never use that, but that's a personal preference. I just don't use glitters. Oneself is nice. I don't really have anything bad to say about it, but it's nothing special. Diamond Dew, again, is one of those really super thick, chunky, intense. Again, personal preference. I just don't like that, and it got really, really thick on the eyes. Again, Lavish looks like High Life up here, and then First Class is just like a basic peachy shade that you probably have in a lot of palettes. So like overall, this is nothing inherently special in my eyes, and I struggled a little bit. I didn't love all the looks I made. I liked them well enough, but I don't think I'd ever go through the hassle of recreating them. I don't know. Please let me know down in the comments, did you pick this up? Do you like it? I feel like I was kind of negative this whole video. I kind of had a negative mindset going into this video also, which maybe didn't help me out, but there's just something, I know I've said this before, but there's just something about this palette in me that there's a disconnect where I just don't love it, unfortunately. But I would love to hear your guys' thoughts down below. If you picked it up, how are you liking it? What kind of looks are you creating? I hope you're enjoying it way more than I am. I'm going to keep this for a little bit longer and see if I reach for it at all. I don't see myself doing so, but I am going to keep it. But I can definitely see myself eventually decluttering this. Unfortunately, either seeing if a friend wants it, maybe trying to sell it because I haven't used it that many times, or donating it because, again, I haven't used it that many times. So I'll keep you guys updated, but as of right now, it's not my favorite palette. I really don't actually like it that much, if I'm being completely honest. But also let me know down in the comments which one of the 5 looks was your favorite. When I do these 1 week 1 palettes, I love hearing from you guys down below which one was your favorite. I just think it's fun. So that was it, you guys. That was my 1 week 1 palette with the Huda Beauty Icy Nude palette. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. You're awesome and I love you. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you have not yet, and hope to see you in my next video. Bye guys.